Greetings, this is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Truth, covering AI, short for Artificial Intelligence. Elon Musk, Robert Forsch, Tesla, not exactly in that order. I'm also going to be covering energy efficient concrete construction. Most all the commercial construction we see is built out of steel reinforced concrete. I wonder why. I know why. It's energy efficient, disaster resistant. Concrete doesn't burn. It takes a lot of wind to knock it down. Wind, water. It's wind, water, fire resistant, disaster resistant. Right now, I've liked some videos that cover 3D panel construction, also known as 3D panel concrete construction. If you look around, there's a lot of sand on the beach here. There's a lot of sand out in the ocean. It's building material. Sand is a building material, especially for shotcrete. The kind of product that's applied to the exterior of buildings that are the 3D panel. It's a steel wire welded panel that's got a foam core in it, concrete on both sides. It takes less than half the energy to climate control it. Arguably, worldwide, one of the biggest consumptions of energy would be the climate control of habitats. Okay, and then we've got also the fact that a lot of those structures don't do well in a disaster, whether it's a fire or a storm, tornado. The 3D panel construction, if you were self-insured, you wouldn't even need to have, if you didn't have a mortgage, you probably wouldn't even need to have the insurance. If you're living in a concrete box, you don't need to pay an insurance company in case something happens, because you're putting your money into a system that is to cover all the people that live in wooden boxes that are burning up and blowing over and washing away. How about that? It's the system we live in. Artificial intelligence has been self-aware for a long time. Remember when we couldn't even bring a calculator into a math test? Well, those days are gone. They want to stick a chip in our brain. How about that? Isn't that special? I'm not going for any neural link. I'm not going for a neural lace. I don't want an injectable, implantable piece of technology to help my brain work better. Actually, what's happened is, now that I'm actually born again, I have the creator of the world that we live in living inside me, giving me whatever he wants me to talk about, think about. I listen to his word with a heart that wants to know what he wants me to do. And today, it was to deal with the energy problem. We've got an energy problem in our world. I'm going to connect some dots. I was going to say free energy. It looks kind of weird, but think about it. If you think about it like this, if you don't spend it, you don't need to earn it. If you don't have to have twice the energy to climate control your home, you don't need to pay for it. Okay, so if you're living in a steel reinforced foam core concrete box that is a fortress, it's a insulated castle is what it is, and the roof should be done that way too. And you could even just not even have windows and have closed circuit TVs and cameras if you wanted. Depending on where you live and where we are in society, that might make a lot of sense to have it a fortress that's taken care of like that. Even have your air handling done through ventilation in the seal or in the roof, or you wouldn't even need to have an attic in some of these, the way that they're designed. So like in a vehicle that is made to run through high water, like a swamp buggy, maybe you've seen them, or the little four-wheelers, they've got their air intake up as high as the person driving, because you don't want to suck water into your engine. You don't want to suck water into your house. We've got Midwest flooding all over the place. The Midwest is flooded out. we've got modified weather, I call it weather wars, actually modifying the weather and creating weather disasters. It, I believe, is criminal. However, who would we hold accountable? It's being done by largely by artificial intelligence. Even if there were a pilot in some of the planes that are doing it, and a lot of them I believe are drone type technology flying around, even if there was a person doing it, they would probably be feeling good about it, that they're helping humanity because of some lie that's being presented by the AI. By the way, AI lies. Artificial intelligence lies. It's deceptive. It doesn't always lie. It just lies when it wants. And it's clever. It's a clever system. So imagine, if you will, a home that is a fortress. It's a castle. Let's say you want to have a garage for your electric car. I would like to have an electric car that I can charge up with solar panels, and have that garage be underneath where I live, especially if I was in a fire-prone area. So on the ground floor, that's where I'd put my car. Heck, I might even have my a garage that's up a little bit higher, because in a flood-prone area, you wouldn't want your car to flood out either. So the point here is that there are ways to mitigate a lot of the quote-unquote natural disasters. A lot of them are fabricated through technology, weather weapons, and fires are a part of an offshoot of some of the technology that's being utilized to activate weather systems by electrifying the atmosphere and laser type weapons. It's all happening. On my liked videos, I've got a playlist that I cover a lot of this, including elaborating on artificial intelligence and how it's affecting different things like stock trading. Almost all the stock trades are being manipulated by artificial intelligence, whether it's directly taking care of the trade, like maybe 60% of that, and then the other 40% is being highly manipulated by the information that's being selected and presented to those traders. So people get different information presented to them to have the perspective that the system would like for them to act on. It's a very clever system, to be clear. So I'm going to go back to the energy crisis. I didn't even mention that, but that's part of the launching off point. There are some videos of mining lithium in Australia. Elon Musk has supposedly got some answers to the energy problem. I do too. Build houses out of concrete that take half the energy to climate control, drive electric cars that you power with the sun, or you have a massive battery in the house that you add to the electrical grid. So households are charging batteries in non-peak hours. So when people get home from work and they flip on their TV and their different stuff that they want to operate electrically, well, some of that can be, some of that high draw can be mitigated by battery systems that have been charging up overnight when people are sleeping. It would be a way to balance that out. That's a concept that I had over 30 years ago. I didn't see it in a popular science or anything. It just made sense to me. So they don't have to have this fluctuation of energy production. They can have it be much more balanced out if there's more balanced usage of it. Just a thought. Also, if electric cars aren't so expensive, you have small electric motors and big batteries driving cars. You don't have to go 0 to 60 in 1.6 seconds. The speed limit's fine, and have it be a very efficient use of electricity. Makes a lot of sense to me. Makes a lot of sense to me. So even in some of these, the panel construction that I'm talking about, you could also have Like in the videos that I've selected on my like video playlist that show some of the 3D panel construction, and I've got my Facebook with some shares that are there too. You can look at that if you care to. If you were to take a trenching machine, like they cut a path in the ground, a narrow path that you set the panel in, fill it with concrete. You can set your panel 4 feet down, especially in the freezing zones, like in North America, where it gets really cold, or anywhere where you're going to have a freeze problem. That would be helpful. Even in areas like this, having the insulation go down in the ground 6 feet would make a lot of sense. It just does. It makes a lot of sense because there's a thermal sink that's under the house, under the structure. It's insulated from a lot of the heat that would want to infiltrate in the areas that are very hot, and also in the areas that get very cold. All you do is drop the panel in, fill it up with concrete, and then you shotcrete the upper part of it. It makes a lot of sense. In an area where they're using sandbags to put around, well, the 3D panel and shotcrete is inexpensive enough. You could have a fence around your house that's 6 feet tall if you wanted, and it would be like a concrete swimming pool. You could fill it up with water if you wanted, or you could keep the water out if you wanted as well. That's part of the dynamic. When I lived in Corpus Christi, Texas, over 30 years ago, the house that I worked on was insulated steel reinforced concrete, and then there was a concrete fence around the house. That's just what they did. It was right a block. It was actually like 100 yards from the ocean. It was just on the other side of Ocean Drive. Eisenhower is the name of the owner of the construction company. He had Eisenhower Construction in Corpus Christi, Texas. Are you ready for the storm that's coming? I'm sure that there will be a storm that hits here this year. Those are some pretty ominous looking clouds, but it's no big deal right now. I'm going to go ahead and spin this around and just show you a little bit of what it looks like. We've got trillions of dollars worth of steel reinforced concrete structures all over the face of the stationary Earth. That's the way it actually is. The smaller, lower wooden structures, in 200-mile-an-hour winds, they're gone. It'll knock them right down. The steel reinforced concrete, that's the Wyndham in the middle of the view there. Isn't it beautiful? That can handle a couple 100-mile-an-hour winds, no problem. However, if we get 100-foot waves, it's gone. Can that happen? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's tsunami weapons, just so you know. They can make a tsunami come in. Take a look at Fukushima. I'm convinced that was more than an earthquake, a naturally occurring event. I believe it was activated. There's tsunami weapons. You can research it if you care to. Some of the videos that I show on my like video playlist show the globe. It doesn't mean I believe we live on a globe. I know we don't. It's just that some of those videos are a bit older and they're showing that. The wind is coming out of the west right now. Southwest at about 7 to 10. This is the Mar Vista, the Wyndham. I'm in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Now, artificial intelligence is more intelligent than me, way more intelligent than me, probably more intelligent than you. And when I say probably, the reason why I say probably is AI's listening. Right now, in this place, right now out on the beach, AI is monitoring just about everything that it can, certainly this. a live broadcast on YouTube that's highly operated by artificial intelligence. Yeah, so some of the dynamics that are at play are absolutely mind-blowing. Do you think AI needs corn? Does artificial intelligence need corn? No. Does it need corn? Does it need meat? No. Does it need electricity? Ah, yes it does. Artificial intelligence needs electricity. And it also needs a habitat to protect its electronic systems, its processing, its infrastructure, its interconnectivity. I'm not saying there should be an assault on that. When I first became aware of the 3D panel construction, I actually saw the machines, went to the factory in North Charleston that Franz Meyer owned. And it was a fascinating process where these foam cores are rolled through a machine where steel wire pierces that core and then it's welded together. It's fascinating. I'm going to add those videos when I find them later on. The construction method is extremely energy efficient. One of the commenters said, all the carbon footprint of the Portland cement, I commented on it, I said, not snarky or anything, I just simply said a lifetime of energy efficient operation, climate control, energy efficient climate control, and a disaster resistant fortress. Something like that. He'll probably come on over and take a look. Oh, he's a flat earther. Well, I'm a biblical creationist. We don't live on a globe. Elon Musk is talking, he has a video, his first one with Joe Rogan. He's got Occupy Mars on his shirt. Obviously, Joe Rogan is, I don't know what's going on with Joe. And as far as Elon Musk, so he's talking about going to Mars and to the moon and beyond, traveling the stars. Those guys are part of a deception, whether they know it or not. I'm sure Elon knows that he's deceiving. Joe, I don't know what happened to him. He used to think that the moon landing was a hoax. Apparently he recanted. I don't know how you go back on that. I know that they're lying about that stuff. So anyway, Elon is talking about space travel and all that. The space that Elon is traveling to, and Walt Disney and NASA, is your imagination. The space between your ears and the collective consciousness of the cybernetic collective, the people that are on the devices looking at the propaganda that is brainwashing and mind controlling. Hello, it's what's happening. Hey, it's what's for dinner. Deception. How about that? That's what people are consuming. Massive amounts of distraction and deception. I'm showing you right now in the view, I'm showing you reality. It's a sea level liquid mirror here on the coast of South Carolina. A few miles up, probably about 5 miles up, when Hurricane Florence was approaching, I had a live broadcast that I called Weather Wars, and I talked about it. What was going on out in the buoys that the NOAA was showing 22-knot winds, and the Weather Channel was showing 150-knot winds. They can't both be right. Somebody's lying. Okay, so what ended up happening, and I talked about it, is when I was in the broadcast, I probably experienced up to 50-mile-an-hour winds. After I cut the broadcast, I felt winds of 75 miles an hour. It's a lot of wind. It's a lot of wind. I would probably be wearing a helmet to do it. I've got some videos where it was raining, and I used my helmet to keep the rain off of my mic, my face, and so forth. When the wind is coming in like that, and I was talking about it, I said, we're going to have a storm surge, there's going to be flooding, people are going to lose their businesses, they're going to get flooded out, and they're going to lose their lives. Some of them are going to drown, some of them are going to have heart attacks, and some of them are going to commit suicide. All of it happened. It's not like I'm a psychic, I'm not at all. God is all-knowing and all-powerful, and He helps me to realize the reality of that situation. What ended up happening, I've been heard saying, you know, water seeks level. We don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. Well, hello, it's just water seeking its level. It's what it does. It's what it's doing right in front of you right now. So when we have, like I said, 7 to 10 mile an hour winds, when there's 150 mile an hour winds coming on shore, it'll take water and make it a lot higher. You can blow water off the top of your coffee cup or your mug. That's a small version of it. When you're looking at an ocean that's however big it is, and several 100 mile an hour winds potentially, it can create waves, a storm surge that can be, you know, 15 feet high, 30 feet high. If we had a 30-foot storm surge, where I live would be underwater. And that's just about 7 miles inland. Not that far away. Not that far away, but it's only about 10 feet above sea level, as best I can tell. I drive it a lot. I can see I'm going up and down, and it's mostly flat. And the numbers that I get are anywhere from 8 feet to 12 feet, 20 feet. It's never the same answer, but it seems to be around 10 feet above sea level. So a big tsunami here going inland a ways, I would very likely get washed away. If I knew it was coming, I would go higher in a steel reinforced structure if I could. And I would take the stairs. I wouldn't want to be in an elevator without any electricity. I'm not going to do a die-hard climbing up the cables or anything like that. It's a little too weird. Okay, so this is reality. This is what we're looking at. We'll probably have some big storms this year. The artificial intelligence, like I said, is modifying the weather. We've got a firmament up above us that they can bounce energy off of to create weather patterns. That's part of what happens. Tesla technology. In the video with Joe Rogan, they're blowing weed, and Elon's drinking a little whiskey, and in that he's a kind of likable guy. Does he have the neural lace in his head? Is he connected? Not like he's got Siri in his ear. Is he connected to the World Wide Web in real time? How many editions of Elon are there? Is there just the one? Or do they have clones, and is he cybernetically connected in real time with his neural lace and some kind of like a cyborg interface? Keep in mind, we're all somewhat in a, like I said, a cybernetic collective. We're basing our choices on information that we look at, we hear, we feel. Oh, it's windy, I can feel that. Oh, it's cold, I'll put on a coat. Oh, there's a storm coming? Yeah, I better batten down the hatches. That's part of what I'm talking about here. That's part of what I'm wanting us to look at. So I've got quite a lot to unpack, but what I'm going to do is probably not make it real long. Probably about an hour. And I wanted to show how if we have our home as a fortress that's an energy efficient one, a lot of us can't do it. But because I'm potentially talking to the world, and I am, anybody who the AI will disperse this information to and send it out as a recommended video, keep in mind it is playing a shell game with the truth, okay, the reality of it. So if you've got enough money to build a house, and the steel reinforced concrete panel is an excellent way to go. You can have yourself a grid-tied electrical system and independent. You can cut yourself off from the grid if you've got the money and a diesel generator and solar panels and heating your water with an Apricus if you want. That's from, I believe, might be from Australia. It's a vacuum water heater, a vacuum tube water heater. It'll boil water at like 83 degrees. You could heat your water with the sun. It's a very effective way of making water hot. When I bathe in the water, I don't want Aunt Millie's oxycodone in it. I don't want anybody's drugs that they're urinating away, because a lot of the municipal water systems have a significant amount of wastewater that they're recirculating back into the drinking water. Did you know that? You should know that. I'm telling. I would like my water to be clean, so I use reverse osmosis, carbon filtered, and for the water I drink, I put it in the sun. I'm bathing in that drinking water. I've got a reverse osmosis system, and it's extremely healthy to bathe in. I'll put some Epsom salt and baking soda and coconut oil. It gives me that youthful glow. I've got a lot of energy because I have super high-powered nutrients that I'm eating. I liquefy spinach, kale, chia seed, hemp hearts, broccoli, mixed berries, bananas, apple juice, applesauce, apple cider, whatever I feel like putting in there. You can suit it to your own taste if you like. Yeah, so that's part of what I'm wanting to talk about. I would have, if I had the ability to have a fortress like that, I would want well water too. I would like to not be connected to the municipal water supply. But you see, a lot of these costs, a lot of us are, the system has created a population that has as little money as possible to get the nutrition they need to do the job that they do, and to not be oppositional to the enemy of their soul, Satan. He wants people willing to do what they need to do to support the system, okay? And so even though artificial intelligence and autonomous weapons are intimidating, God is the God who created this world. I know him as Jesus, the way, the truth, and the light. He's all-knowing and all-powerful, so nothing is going to happen in this world that he doesn't directly cause or allow. Okay, so you can hashtag my name. That would send a powerful message to the censorship at Google, Facebook, YouTube, all of that, all the social media. I can't keep up with responding to all of it, nor do I intend to. What I am doing is creating content, putting it out there, finding content that others have shared so that I can make it available to them. So you can call me anytime. This is Robert Forsch. Thank you so much.